Aries.
Hello Aries, and this is your forecast for May of 2013, and this is a month that I think you've been looking forward to for a long time. The focus is going to be on your second house of income and finances, and I know how you've been working so hard for so many months now, like really reaching with your ambitions and running that race, and now is the time that you might come to see the harvest of all of that hard work you've put in. It starts off on the top of the month here with Mercury ingressing into Taurus. Now, Taurus rules that second house. Okay, so it's going to empower it even stronger. And you'll also have the Sun trining Pluto, which is your sense of authority, your sense of own inner power. It's also, Pluto rules big money. So at this time you can start seeing this manifestation kind of coming in a beautiful trine to your career house. And this is what you've been working on for, months. You can go way into the past and dig in there, but breakthroughs coming in now is what you will be seeing. And then we also have Mercury here on the 3rd, sextiling Neptune, and since you've got like a really good go on the first couple of days, any of you who had interviews, you're feeling good about it. Now, if you had a reevaluation on your job site here on the very first of the month, that should have come out quite positively, and now it's kind of placing you into this mode like, okay, so now I've achieved this. Where do I want to go with that? How can I implement more dreams, more vision? So listen to your inner thoughts here on the whole first week, I'd say, of May. And then we have some more communications talks coming in, kind of trying to obtain some kind of clarity or an objective insight as to your abilities now. How can you balance it? Mercury is opposing Saturn, so that's like asking you, how can I become more authentic? How can I bring out more of my karmic path? How can I put forward my best foot, my best talents? Especially because Mars is also trine to Pluto. So if we put Mars, Saturn, and Pluto together, you know what that does. It is all the big ones, the big players, as far as pushing through, carving out that path karmically, aiming it towards what you want to achieve. Not just now, because you're achieving something from the past, but now I see you kind of shooting that arrow towards the future for even larger goals. And don't think small, Aries. This is a time to think big. Don't limit yourself. Pluto is humongous. Mars can give you the drive. Saturn will give you the security, the feeling of that you have achieved this certain level of, I won't say academia, but your sense of knowing the know-how of what you have achieved. And Pluto will transform that. So kind of look ahead now, 6 months, look ahead a year. Where do you want to be in 2 or 3 years financially? Because it's coming from your financial income house. Okay, so think big in order to achieve big. Remember that. Even though it's not in your near future to have the big money sums, but who says you can't get it down the road here in a few years, right? But this is a real powerful time for that. Then we also have Mercury conjuncting Mars here just the day afterwards on the 7th. So whatever's taking place the 5th and 6th, I'd consider the 7th in there because Mercury is conjunct this Mars, which is trining Pluto, which is also embedding Saturn in here. And there's Chiron in the mix. Chiron wants to heal the old wounds. And Mercury's there and kind of thinking, well, it really cost me so much to get to this level. You might be reflecting a little bit on the growing pains, the hurt, the sacrifices you made to get where you are today. And give yourself a little time to that, but then let it go. You know, when we heal something, we have to let it go or the scab will remain. So it's like pick the scab off and say, you know what? It was worth it. Every step on the path was worth it. Because look at me now. This is where I am now. And this is where I'm heading. So take a little time to embrace yourself. Be proud of yourself. You know, even if it did cost you an arm and leg, well, here you are now. New energies opening up with a totally different path, which will speed up for you too because of Uranus. You got that Uranus in your sign, and some of you have already come to see that you had to let go of things. Some of you, a lot of you actually, might have lost your jobs, gone through the aches and the scariness of all that, not knowing where it would lead you and what's around that next corner. But the beauty, Aries, is you're learning to roll with it. You're learning to see that, you know what, you can survive change. Change is fun. Change actually accelerates you to get on to new levels, you know? So we don't just evolve in circles. We evolve in spirals, okay? So we go back over the same grounds, but always a dimension higher, okay? So we can evolve spiritually and learn to see that there's so much more to who we are than what we ever thought there was in the past. So this Uranian energy, as we've spoken about so many times before, is going to be with you for several years. And many of you are starting to learn how to just let go, let God, trusting the universe that when something comes at us, it's like, oh goody, now what? You know, try to keep that attitude, because you later, Aries, you have it in your sign, but you haven't had it to your sun yet, like the early Arians. So you still have that coming. But you know, heed the message now. Try to implement it in your heart and your psyche, so that when it becomes your turn to let go and let God, you can do it like a dance. Then we have here on the 9th, we have a new moon this month, and it is also in your second house. And we only get this once a year, so it's a perfect, fantastic time. And not only that, but this new moon is a new moon eclipse, okay? So that gives it more oomph. And so see what that will do for you. And it is just as Venus also is ingressing into Gemini. So this new moon will be flavored by the new energy of Venus coming in, and it moving into Gemini, which is such a diversified sign. Very talented sign, because they don't just do one thing. They do, you know, two or more things. And they're able to kind of do this dance between different projects. And you will see how your own Venusian energy now will suddenly expand and open up to something more than just the linear straight road. And it's on your third house for communication. So we'll see what this new moon is going to do for you, just as it, over the next day or two, will also move into the third house and join with Venus there. But it should be exciting, because it's a blend of Mercury and Venus. So you'll see that you'll be communicating more, not just about love matters and matters of the heart, but also communicating more of what you love to do, what interests you, where you'll be much more communicative to siblings and your neighbors and your closer community, and catching up on emails and people that you care to stay in touch with. You've been so busy. So I guess a lot of you have a lot of that to do. Then we have the surprise day, and that is when Venus is sextile Uranus, which is on the 18th. So bring Venus together. Matters of love in the heart. It's also financial things, and bringing it in with Uranus, it can bestow upon you the unexpected. But it should be a good one. Good. Oh my God. And for you, that will be between your third and your first house. So, okay, so that should be either somebody contacting you out of the blue that will really, you know, bring it'll tickle your heart. So it must be from somebody you've been waiting for or longing to hear from, or it could also be something that's being gifted to you. And that could come from somebody that you've been communicating with, or it could also be through a sibling perhaps, or some relative. Now on the 20th, the sun is moving out of your second house of financials. So try to get anything done that you need to do, have the talks that you need to have, with your higher ups, as far as raise, before the 20th. Not saying it won't be okay after the 20th, because it is moving into your third house, communication, okay? That still works, but it's just more pinpointed if you do it before. And we have a little bit of a volatile day also on the 20th, as Uranus is conjunct Pluto here, and it has been traveling in this aspect for a long time, still will, but as it goes back and forth, it's only now and then that it will actually have the exact transit. So we can see that will be more like on a global level as well as it is on an individual level. You'll have to see what that does for you on the 20th, and of course the days leading up to it, and I'll say the days and maybe even weeks leading up to it. On either side, they move so slowly, so the impact is there. Now, that would be between your first house and your 10th house of career. So that's between you and your career. Tons of stuff being activated and moved around in these sectors. So just remember to also be the observer in your life, not just the participant. If you're just the participant, it can really invoke all of your, not just actions, but reactions. And we want to try to stay non-reactive. And we do that by being the observer, so that you can actually see all the players on stage here and how things are actually moving. Whether something's falling apart, you'll see beyond it how it's going to come together in a new way. And when you start seeing from your higher mind, you won't go into these fear modes. Now, the really nice day of the year, and we only get this once a year, this is Venus and Jupiter. They're all conjunct here on the 28th, and for you, that will be in your third house. So, surprise, surprise, there might be an unexpected trip that might be opening up, or communications about wanting to travel. And this could also be short distance as well as long distance. Since Venus is in the third house, that's the shorter distance ones. But Jupiter rules long distance, so it can even be out of country. Not saying necessarily you're going to be traveling on this day, and if you do, that's going to be good. But you can also start making plans for it, perhaps, on this day for later on. Jupiter is going to be here in this house until July, so anytime between now and then, you'll have a fantastic, fantastic time. We have the full moon, and we have a full moon eclipse, and that's going to be on the 24th. And for you, Aries, it's going to be in the 9th house. So what will that hold? The 9th house. It's your trust, it's your belief, it's those things that you reach and yearn for. It's those higher aspects of your mind. It's your long-term goals. Having the full moon here, you might see some shifts coming in. Things that you might have trusted might suddenly go out of the picture, just because eclipses will eliminate things. But anything that leaves on an eclipse, I want you to okay it. Just say it's okay. You might not think so or feel so at the time, depending on what it is. But tell yourself regardless, it's okay. The universe will never do anything to hurt you. It helps you. And by removing something that we think we need, and especially those things that we cling to, thinking I won't be happy without this situation or without this person, it stifles our growth. Anything we cling to that's not important, if you can't get rid of it, you're going to get some help, and you'll just see and feel and sense the sense of liberation coming in the aftermath, where you can reclaim your power instead of giving it to the wrong person. And God knows I have a lot of those clients, that are clinging to relationships that bring them nowhere and actually just bringing them down. And they're thinking that they really, really need this person. it's like, no, it's just holding you back. So if you're one of those, you'll recognize it here at the end of the month and how strong and radiant you'll become afterwards when you let go of these type of situations. And of course, it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be anything else in your life that's outgrown its purpose. Now, on the flip side of being an eclipse that removes things, we have to remember that it's still a full moon and they harvest good things, okay? And that harvesting in the ninth house is you, if you're taking any tests, for example, any of you that are at school taking exams, well, good for you, because that is full harvest. And I see you just putting all this energy into focus, concentration, and you will get the grades that you so deserve, Aries. What else can we say about this month? I think that pretty much wraps it up. Like I said, finances this month, do what you can to improve them. Put your intentions, put your energy, put your focus onto how you can create more money, because this is the only time of the year you have this, and you're blessed with this little stellium that's now kind of breaking up, that's been following us here through from January, February. It's starting to break up and they're moving apart, but you still have these 5 planets here. So it's like I said, think about the future, not just the short term, and you will have it made. So this was your forecast for May of 2013, and I will see you next month. Bye now.